What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the CotAcast. My name is Bermudez, and I'm the host of the CraftoftheAir podcast, the podcast, and not only for aviation enthusiasts, but also those with a general interest in the world of aviation. Join us on our journey as we explore the horizon of aviation together. I'm so glad that you guys are tuned in for another episode of the CotAcast. We got so much going on in aviation in the past week. We just couldn't wait another day to get this CotAcast out. We take a look at United. United's been in the news a lot recently, and the possibility of the FAA potentially imposing a fine, over $1 million fine, a $1.1 million fine. Now, continuing with aviation safety, is aviation safety a concern? Should it be a concern for us? Late Monday, 2 pilots walked away from a Boeing 737 tanker crash in Australia. Now, they walked away, thank God. Now, also on Monday as well, a FedEx cargo plane landing at Austin Bergenstone International came within only 100 feet of a Southwest 737. Yes. Now, this comes after a report by the Hindustan Times about the Nepal plane crash and the possibility. The Prof reports that reportedly both engines lost power before this tragic disaster in Nepal. We discussed that. And finally, with aviation safety, with everything going on, U.S. lawmakers they shift their focus towards aviation safety this week. Now, first things first, this episode of the CotAcast, it's still brought to you by CraftoftheAir. Today's episode is brought to you by CraftoftheAir. Stop memorizing outdated content and stop rereading textbooks without really understanding your aviation content. If you're looking to obtain an airframe and power plant license to fix airplanes, CraftoftheAir offers personalized learning sessions remotely from the convenience of your house. Now, are you in the field of aviation and need help accomplishing your next big project? Are you tired of searching endlessly for unreliable data, taking up your day, opening up this tab, you're opening up that tab, it's never ending? Just stop it. CraftoftheAir is the second you when you need it. Anything aviation. Visit www.craftoftheair.com. Again, that's www.craftoftheair.com today and speak with a federally licensed professional. CraftoftheAir, our craft is of the air. Yeah. We dive right into it. There's so much going on. United Airlines is the very first topic that we discussed. Now, on late Friday last week, 2 United aircrafts collided in New Jersey. 2 United airplanes clipped wings on the tarmac at Newark International Airport amid a spate of high-profile near misses at a lot of U.S. airports. Now, it was a Boeing 757 that it was outbound, headed out to Orlando, Florida, and it was struck by a Boeing Dreamliner, a 787. The Dreamliner did not have passengers at the time. Now, this was before the pilot announced to the passengers, and I'll quote him, "Obviously, our wing has been clipped," end quote. Yes. Oh, very insightful. The Federal Aviation Authority is investigating the incident, which happened Friday morning. Now, separately on Tuesday, 4 people were injured after a battery caught fire on a United flight. Yes, on a United flight Battery caught fire on a United flight early Tuesday, shortly after takeoff. Now, the device was found on fire. Listen to where it was found on fire. In the seat back. David, you listening? In the seat back. This is a notorious place where ridiculous things are often placed. Now, now it's unrelated. It's still in the investigation. Obviously, we have no cause, but the device was found on fire inside the seat back pocket of a first class seat. Officials said that the flight crew prevented. Now, United has to be really, really shout out for this one, man. The flight crew really did a tremendous job by this United crew. Officials said the flight crew prevented the fire from spreading by placing the battery into a thermal containment bag. Our crew acted quickly to contain the device, the airline said in a statement. The Newark-bound flight then safely returned to San Diego International Airport. 4 flight attendants were taken to the hospital as for precaution, and 2 passengers were evaluated on site, according to United. Now, FAA spokesman Ian Greger told CNN that the fire was from a laptop battery. He went on to say the FAA will investigate it. So it's, keep that in mind. Now, with everything going on with United, now it comes in that on Tuesday, the FAA proposed a $1.1 million, a little over a $1.1 million fine against United Airlines for allegedly not performing maintenance inspections. The FAA proposed the $1,149,306 civil penalty against United Airlines for allegedly conducting flights from June 2018 to April 2021 in Boeing 777 aircraft that were not in airworthiness condition. Now, this stems from, I believe, the fire system warning check. And that's supposed to be in the pre-flight checklist. An inspection task required in the maintenance specifications. Now, the FAA went on to make it known that removal of the check resulted in United's failure to perform the required checks and the operation of the aircraft that did not meet airworthiness requirements. Now check this out. Check it. It's reported that between June 2018 and April 2021, United actually conducted more than 100,000 flights on Boeing 777s despite not having the replacement for the check. That's crazy. This reminds me of an incident, and this is going back in February 2021. This is outside the range in which it was specified in that FAA report or proposed fine. But in February 2021, a United Airlines flight 328 from Denver to Honolulu, it actually suffered a contained engine failure 4 minutes after takeoff from Denver International Airport. Parts were just flying off the engine cowling of that Boeing. Now, that was a Boeing 777. That's why I bring that up. So I wonder if there's a connection. Now, it's outside the range. I don't want to start anything. I don't want to start anything. But I'm just saying. For those of you that remember, it was a significant event. There was debris raining down in Broomfield, Colorado, all over this area from the result of the engine failure. There was extensive damage to the engine nacelle and the fuselage. The FAA, the NTSB, the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, they immediately investigated this, so on and so forth. But it's worth noting. I'm throwing it out there. United Airlines has 30 days to respond to the FAA after receiving the agency's enforcement letter. So it's interesting to see where that goes now. Moving on, late Monday, 2 pilots walked away from a Boeing 737 tanker crash in Australia. Yeah, two pilots walked away with just minor injuries, thank God, after a Boeing 737 jet. This jet was actually converted for firefighting purposes, crashed in Fitzgerald River National Park, that's in southern Western Australia, while fighting wildfires. This was late Monday. The Australian Transportation Safety Board, the nation's crash investigator, said Monday's crash was the first incident involving a Boeing 737 in Australia. So that's worth noting there. This is not a regular occurrence, but a 37 going down like this. The plane crashed shortly after dumping its load of water with additives in turbulent conditions, goes on to say. Now, Aviation, which is apparently the owner, is sending executives to Sydney. Crash investigator Angus Mitchell said it's way too early to suggest any link between the Coalition Aviation crash and the wider implications for the Boeing 737 passenger aircraft. So again, this was a plane crash that no one was harmed. Both of the pilots walked away. This was a Boeing 737 that was converted for firefighting purposes and was not used for passenger use. So we'll see there, most importantly, that the two pilots were safe after this. Now, just going through our next topic on Monday. Yes, Monday, separate incident. A FedEx cargo plane landing at Austin Burnstream International came within just 100 feet of a Southwest Airlines 737 aircraft. The FedEx, it's crazy. The FedEx flight was on approach to the runway as the Southwest aircraft begun its takeoff on the same runway. Yes, on the same runway. Jeez, the FedEx flight abandoned its landing approach as the Southwest aircraft continued its takeoff. They both steered left and right, respectively, to avoid contact, so nobody was hurt. Multiple industry and analysts said that the instructions from air traffic control appear to be the factor. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, it's worth noting, I had to find this piece of information out. Now, in 2022, check this out. In 2022, there were 1,732 incursion incidents involving similar incidents of this nature. Now 1,732 incursions out of 17 million flights handled by the Federal Aviation Authority, or the FAA. Now, of those, only a handful were considered Category A, which is basically defined as a serious incident in which a collision was narrowly avoided. Most recorded case covers indicates, no immediate safety concerns. But these numbers, as you can see, is a very rare event. This is not something that's a regular occurrence. So it'd be interesting to see, or to read or hear, what have you, the developments on the story. Now, on Tuesday, the U.S. Department of Transportation released the Air Traveler Consumer Report, an ATCR. Say that 10 times. Go ahead, I'll wait. Now, the ATCR on the air, I wasn't actually going to wait. The ATCR on airline operational data compiled for the month of November 2022 for on-time performance. Listen, on-time performance, consumer complaints, mishandled baggage, and mishandled wheelchairs and scooters. There was a 23% increase from October to November in complaints. So people are not happy. As we speak about aviation during this podcast, it comes to light. Passengers are not happy. The system is stressed beyond belief. You're going to have to wait till the end. You just wait till the end. The closing. a more serious note, we move on to the Nepal plane crash. The Nepal plane crash probe reportedly showed that both engines had lost power. A Yeti Airlines plane that crashed in Nepal last month had no engine power during its final moments, the Hindustan Times reported, citing a government-appointed panel investigating the incident. Analysts of the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder showed that the propellers of both engines on this aircraft, the aircraft was an ATR 72 turboprop. The propellers were feathered before the crash on January 15th. This position, this angle, for those of you listening who are not aware, when we have a propeller, this propeller is not necessarily stationary. The angle and the pitch vary depending on the phase of flight, power, so on and so forth. Get yourself a CraftoftheAir learning session and learn firsthand about props. But interesting that both of the props on both of these engines were in the feathered position. And that indicates that the plane had lost thrust. All right, cited from a statement from a panel. Now, the Yeti Airlines flight 691 had taken off from Nepal's capital around at 10:32 a.m. local time, and it had crashed tragically at 11 a.m. All 72 people on board were killed. A tragedy. That disaster added to the Himalayan country reputation as the world's most dangerous place to fly. So we have something possibly mechanical here that resulted in a tragedy. But just a tragedy. Now moving focus back to the United States and trying to improving the safety of U.S. air travel. David Butler, the Federal Aviation Administration's acting head of aviation safety, he said the two recent events were pretty serious, referring to the runway incursions in the previous CotAcast. You're going to have to go back and listen to the CotAcast. David Butler is quoted as saying, "We need to double down on what it is that's causing these. What have we missed in our voluntary systems? What have we missed in our data?" End quote. Butler said at the hearing. The FAA has hired, now it's worth noting, the FAA has hired 200. It's a good amount. 200 new aviation safety employees within the last year, and before that 200 in the year before. Now, the chair of the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, appeared in front of the United States House of Representatives Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. And she called for more data to be available for investigators. Now, listen to this. You know what this includes? It includes cockpit video recorders and longer cockpit voice recordings. Jennifer Holmby, who began her testimony, called FAA reauthorization enhance America's golden standard in aviation safety, end quote. Remarked that the efforts of many stakeholders have led to the U.S. having a, quote, record level of safety as the number of deaths associated with the U.S. civil aviation accidents decreased from 541 in 2019 to 376 in 2021, a decrease of roughly 1/3, end quote. It's worth noting, it's a decrease, but such different landscape of aviation that we look at today. You know, when I really think about it, it's the current challenges. It's the current challenges that the aviation industry faces. We have increased demand post-pandemic. We have a historic aviation workforce shortage. That's pilots, engineers, air traffic controllers, maintainers. We have a system that's overstressed. And now what air travel is becoming as an essential. It's not necessarily a luxury anymore. It's something that's common, that many people do. And we may be many years away from having enough qualified aviation professionals. Just recently, Southwest has lowered their minimum requirement for new pilots to 500 flight hours. Now, I ask the listeners, you guys, the question. In my opinion, at the current rate of the turnover within aviation, the problems will certainly persist. But what factor do you believe contributes most to aviation safety? I put the poll. Check us out on Anchor or Spotify and the poll. And which factor do you believe contributes most in aviation safety? Is it the lack of federal funding? Is it the aircraft systems changing so much? What about unqualified aviation professionals? Lack of resources, training, or tools? Or is it just simply the workforce shortage? I give you guys the voice. Let me know what you guys think. With that, I thank you guys so much for listening to another episode. That about wraps it up for this episode of the CotAcast. If you guys have not done so already, please take this opportunity to check out the Craft of the Air website at www.CraftoftheAir.com today. Again, that's www.CraftoftheAir.com today, and get your free initial consultation today. Craft of the Air, our craft is of the air. Guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the CotAcast. Before we go, make sure you show us some love on Spotify, Anchor. We're on Apple Podcasts. I mean, you name it. Please send us to everybody you know that may be interested, and give us ideas. We're open. I want to hear it. As in we, I mean myself. I'm the person. I'm the guy. I'm the person. I'm the one. I want to hear your feedback. Let me know. Contact us and check out the Craft of the Air Instagram at the very least, and follow us. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys stay safe, stay subscribed, and stay in tune with the CotAcast, and just be on the lookout for that next episode. Take care, guys. Thanks for listening.